Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Got a great guest for you guys today. I had the privilege of being in Miami this past weekend, watching this man dominate super heavyweight class at the NPC Nationals, then go on to easily sweep the overall. No offense to the other class winners, everybody looked fantastic, but there can be only one overall champ. This was the man, Chris DiDomenico from Pennsylvania. Welcome, Chris. How you doing?
Good, Ron. It's good to be here. I'm excited. Dream come true.
How do you pronounce your last name?
DiDomenico.
Okay, everybody, DiDomenico, because you're going to have to remember that.
Get used to it.
You're going to have to learn how to spell it, too. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's like
it's
they had to learn how to spell Schwarzenegger. So,
yeah.
Okay, so I like to always start at the very, very beginning, the day you were born. So what was your childhood like? Did you grow up in Pennsylvania? Were you into sports, other hobbies?
I grew up right outside of Pittsburgh. I was actually raised with my grandparents, a single mom with my grandparents, and big Italian family. Like, I lived with all my uncles and stuff. So I was an only child, but basically I wasn't, because I lived with all my uncles and stuff. Yeah. But I was always the runt of the family.
Really?
Yeah.
You were the runt.
Yeah, for sure. I started lifting weights whenever I was 13. I weighed 135 pounds. I had to put on weight for football. My Uncle Tony got me started lifting weights, and we started I was actually living in a trailer at the time. It was an old weight set, and then I started lifting for the high school football team, and then from there I went on to play football and stuff.
So how massive were you by the time you graduated high school?
I only graduated, I put on weight, but I graduated, I probably weighed like 170s.
Okay, that's not a bad start at all, really.
Yeah, 40 pounds.
Because you're about 5'10", I'm guessing, from when we were backstage the other day?
Yeah, 5'10".
Okay. How old are you, if I can ask? I forgot all about that.
I just turned 30 a couple months ago.
Happy birthday. That's a great year. Enjoy it.
Yes.
I'd love to go back to 30. So, okay. So, you played, did you play college ball too?
No, I was never any good to play at the next level, Yeah. So, but I love lifting. I love the idea of the off season in football, like put on size, get bigger. Yeah. And then I went to Slippery Rock University, which is an awesome college, and I loved it there. It was real big into weightlifting, bodybuilding, and I just continued to lift. It was like, okay, football's done, you got to lift, but there was no outlet. And then literally within the first semester, I'd say the first couple of weeks, I met a buddy of mine. His name was Sam Landis, and he was a bodybuilder at the time. Yeah. And met him in the dorms, and he recommended me. He saw me, and he's like, hey, you should try out doing a show. And then the rest is history.
So let's back up. Was there a moment prior to that where I think most of us who got into this can pinpoint one moment in time where they were either watching Arnold in a movie or they saw a picture of somebody and they said, that's it, I got to look like that. Do you remember having a moment like that?
To be honest with you, it was whenever I met this Sam Landis dude, because, it was always like, and I say this all the time, this is like a little over 10 years ago, but it was a vastly different society, because back then it was cool to be jacked. You know what I mean? It was cool to idolize Arnold and Stallone. And that's what I was raised on, those type of movies and stuff. And Arnold was God. Yeah. Stallone was God. And, so I was always raised, I adored those guys. I was obsessed with them. I had my posters in the room. Yeah. And it started off as more Stallone, and then whenever I got into bodybuilding, it became Arnold, of course. Yeah. But, and whenever I got into college, I was lifting weights, and I seen this Sam guy in the dorm, and he was biggest dude on campus. But at the same time, he was the most humble, mild-mannered, gentleman type guy. He was the biggest dude, but he didn't show it off. He wore loose shirts. It was just he kind of knew he was the man, and he didn't need to dump it on anybody. Yeah. And that just blew my mind. I just thought that was the most badass thing ever, and I was like, holy shit, I gotta look like this guy. This is incredible.
So did you start training with him from that point on?
Yeah. Our first conversation, I think I was brushing my teeth in a dorm, and he approached me and said hey, you should do a show. And then it was we were two little schoolgirls. We became best friends. We're still friends today. He lives across the country and stuff. But I credit him for telling me to get into bodybuilding, for sure. We lifted together. We used to go to the Arnold Classic together. you know, we were best friends all through college.
So you were 18 or 19 when you did your first show then?
I was 18, yeah.
Okay. So tell me about that experience. Like, how did you pick the show? What was that whole day like? Because you only get one first show ever.
Yeah, I was 18. I did the Dean's Natural Pittsburgh. It's a small show right here in Murraysville, PA. That was my first show I did. I won the teenage overall, and then I went to Slippery Rock. Slippery Rock's real big into bodybuilding. They had the Mr. SRU contest. It's called the Mr. Slippery Rock. I won the lightweight bodybuilding there, and I lost in the overall to Phil Mort. Phil Mort was also a big idol of mine in college. He'll enjoy that shout out. I always looked up to him. He was a local bodybuilder.
I think you said you were like 155 at that first show?
I was 155, like my first year of bodybuilding. You know, I didn't know anything about dieting. Basically just did cardio, starved myself. But through that prep, I also met a guy. His name was Terry McDonald. He was a local guy at a local gym. He was one of the first people to teach me how to pose. He went backstage at the show with me, taught me all the basics of, you know, like carbing up, eating candy before you go out, all that type of stuff. But he was also a big role model. I want to give him a lot of credit for helping me get started. And I keep in touch with him today. He still lives in the same gym with me. Yeah. He's always been a good friend of mine.
So, you know, I always say this because I've followed a lot of people and helped people do their first show, and it's always a case of either, well, that was interesting, but, you know, I don't need to do this ever again, or, oh my God, this is fucking awesome, I got to do this again. So
well, that was me. That was me. It was fucking awesome because I took first in both of them, and then it went straight to my head. I thought I was like the world's greatest teenage bodybuilder, and I put on, and then it was like I ate everything. I put on a shit ton of weight. Yeah. And then I did that same Dean's Natural Pittsburgh show the following year, and I did the Open, and I got smoked. I just came in out of shape because I thought I was like the greatest bodybuilder ever. I got smoked that year, and I had no idea what I was doing yet in terms of contest prep. So I got smoked, and then that's whenever I kind of like, you know, I was like, all right, well, I need to get more advanced. And then I took a couple years off after that.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll back up again. You know, some people show really good potential, and from that very first show, they'll have people coming up to them and saying, wow, you're going to be really good. Did anybody come up to you and say they saw that in you at that time? Yeah.
I mean, all my friends and the guys that competed, like I remember Phil said that, Sam said that. Those were, I mean, it's not like they were famous, like notable guys, but I mean, they at least knew the sport. Right. All the local guys at the local gym, you know, the people that ran the show said it, you know, they all said you had potential. That's why it went to my head. I mean, admittedly, yeah. You know, I was like, oh shit, I went 2 for 2, you know, I'm going to be the next greatest teenage bodybuilder ever. And, you know, I was lifting, I was cheat curling like 225, Whoa. You know what I mean? Like doing crazy shit. I was squatting weight back then, and I probably still don't squat today, but, you know, it was just, you know, but then, you know, I got smacked in the mouth next year, and it really put things into perspective.
Very nice. So, you know, where did you start getting a clue? How did you start really figuring out, this is how I need to eat, this is how I need to train? How did you put it all together?
So then the next year, after I got beat, then I went to the Arnold Classic. You know, I lived in Slippery Rock. That's Columbus. It's, you know, it's a few hours away. Like a bunch of my friends, we went, and that's whenever I went to the Arnold Classic, I was like, holy shit,
What was the first Arnold you went to? Who won?
That was back when it was. I remember Kai Green won his first. I don't know if it was the first year I went or whatever, but Kai Green, he might have won the year after. So it might have been whoever won right before Kai. I don't know if it was. Okay. I don't know who it was.
Probably Dexter won so many of them.
I was going to say Dexter, but I didn't know. Dexter. Yeah, I mean Dexter's always a good guess. Yeah. If you don't know, right. But so then what I did is I took 2 years off after I competed that second year. And then I went back and I did the Slippery Rock show again as a heavyweight. Now I put on a little bit more size. I knew a little bit more about dieting, but I still didn't, you know, measure my ounces, dot my I's, cross my T's, and that. I got second place that year in the heavyweight, and then after I did that show, that's whenever I came back.
Chris, you're from the Pittsburgh area. You know, that's the home of the NPC, and the Pittsburgh show. Always a big deal, big prestigious show every year. They get, you know, every top 10 Mr. Olympia guest posing, and it's got to be something that everyone in your area aspires to win, you know, regionally before they move on to the national level. So when did you get interested in doing that show?
Well, it's kind of something you know about all your life, but like I said, it was right after college I graduated, and then it was like, okay, obviously, you know, I need to win to Pittsburgh, you know, or I need to get in the NPC, win to Pittsburgh, you know. Now, granted, at the time, I knew nobody. I was like, you know, I look back, and this is whenever the dream was like in its most like baby phase. I mean, because like I never even competed in the NPC. I didn't know anything. It was just such a 1,000,000 to 1 shot. But it was like, okay, I want to do the Pittsburgh. And then so I started training. Well, I continued training. And then it was the following year that I went back to Slippery Rock the year after I won to hand out the trophies that I ran into Seth Feroce. And whenever I ran into Seth Feroce up at Slippery Rock, he was there. At the time, he was with Isolator Fitness, I believe, and he was like doing a little booth. And I was like, holy shit, it's Seth. This is back whenever he won, right when he turned pro. Yep. And he was auctioning off a free training package, like a free prep package. And I heard that, and I was like, well, shit. I mean, fuck, what do you call it? I'll just pay you. I don't care if I win. Just, you know, let me just pay you to be my coach. Yeah. And so I exchanged information from him and, you know, went about my way. And Seth is from like right, you know, we're from right in the same area. And then it was probably about a week later on Saturday morning, he called me. And I was just like, holy shit, you know, it's Seth Feroce calling me. And, you know, we set up a time. And then long story short, I started going over to Seth's place. And, like, you know, he kind of took me under the wing in the beginning and just talked to me all about bodybuilding, you know, helped me more with my training. And then it was, let's do the Pittsburgh. And then, but I put on a lot of weight in those 2 years after competing in college. Yeah. I was up to, that was actually the heaviest I ever was. I was actually in the 270s. Ooh. And, I mean, I was fat. And then, you know, we started dieting for the Pittsburgh, and I just wasn't ready. And then I ended up having to push it back. So my first NPC show that year ended up being the NPC Julie Palmer Ultimate Showdown in Ohio. Yep. I did probably a 20-week prep. I mean, I did close to 2 hours of cardio. It was, I dropped over 70-some pounds to get down for the show. But I made it. I got in shape, and I won the heavyweight, and I won the novice overall. And then it was like the following year, I was like, okay, now we're ready to do the Pittsburgh. Yeah. So I was still with Seth at the time. You know, he helped me go into prep for the Pittsburgh that year. And then whenever I rolled into the, long story short, the following year I did the Pittsburgh, and it was the best I ever looked. I showed up and I got 4th place. Jason Janoff won. Jason Janoff's another local guy that I looked up to. Yep. Still do, in all honesty. I'm sure you know the name. You've heard the name.
Of course.
Yeah. He won the Pittsburgh. He won the overall that year. And that really kind of set a fire under my ass because I felt like I deserved more than 4th place that year. I felt like I was better. I felt like I was cheated, you know. Did I cry about it? Did I bitch about it? No. I just, you know, then it really lit a fire under my ass. And then that's whenever I was done. I stopped working with Feroce there, and that's whenever I reached out to Mike Eli. And then, and I just knew Mike through Seth, you know, through social media. I seen his name pop up. Yep. And then I followed, like, Mike's track record, and I noticed, you know, he had good success with his clients. And I was like, well, shit, let me reach out to him. I reached out to Mike that following Christmas. And we talked on the phone. The phone conversation went like this. Mike said, what show you want to do? I said, the Pittsburgh. He said, let's win the overall. And then he said, let's get you on a national level stage. And I was like, well, shit. I mean, I'm game. You know, and I hung up the phone. I was like a little kid, you know, like, yeah, we're ready. Mike just started, like, right there from that phone conversation, I was about 20 weeks or so out. And he's like, we're starting, like, right now. You know, usually I did, like, 16 weeks, and it was like, okay, shit. I was ready. And then we started, I did a 20-week prep for the Pittsburgh. That's whenever things changed. Whenever I met Mike Eli, that was whenever I had a really it was just everything changed, and I went in and I won the Pittsburgh that year. I won the closed overall. I won the open overall.
Yep.
And whenever I went to Pittsburgh, that's whenever the dream like really became a reality, because it was like, holy shit, I just won the NPC Pittsburgh overall open. It's like, this is, you know, now I'm a somebody.
Right.
You know. And then 4 weeks later, I was set to do Junior USAs, and then it was like, you know, it was like that was the first show that I actually felt pressure for, because it was like I wasn't a nobody anymore, and it was like I kind of didn't want to be a one and done. I wanted to go down there in South Carolina, and I wanted to represent, and I wanted to show like I wasn't somebody. I didn't want to get smoked.
Right.
And so we went down and we won the overall at NPC Junior USAs that year.
2015.
And, yeah. What's 2015? 2 years ago.
Yep.
I was a heavyweight. I actually came in lighter whenever I lost to Pittsburgh. I was, I believe, 211. The following year I came in, I was 207. And I won the Pittsburgh. I won Junior USAs at 207. And should I keep going into the following year?
No, just put that in perspective. You just won nationals about 235?
232.
232. So yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 years. So it's 25 pounds in 2 years. Yeah. And, you know, it's more than that, because, like, I was in better conditioning when I won nationals and when I won Junior USAs. So
right. Well, I've always been curious about the Pittsburgh show, because, you know, I go to regional shows around here and everything, and we're lucky if we get one guest poser. That show, as far back as I can remember, has always had a whole stage full of not just guest posers, but it's like the top 10 of the Mr. Olympia come out to Pittsburgh every May. You know, is that a big deal for you guys, or you know?
Oh yeah, I mean the Pittsburgh is, I mean, it's an event. I mean, you get to, I mean, it's in Mannion's backyard. It's Pittsburgh.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like you're just doing any show. Like it's they get Phil Heath, they get the Olympia, they get Jay. They always had everybody there.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, you know, like years ago, I would go and it would be like, I mean, it was something to do. You know what I mean? And everybody wants to be the Mr. Pittsburgh. To this day, up until this year, more people recognize me and knew me as Mr. Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Nobody even knows about Junior USA. You know what I mean? It was like, it's like the forgotten title. Like nobody even knows that I ever won Junior USAs. It was, you're Mr. Pittsburgh. That's all people cared about. You know. But yeah, it's an awesome show, and it's extremely competitive every year. You know, and I pride myself. I won the closed and open, and not many people do that from Pittsburgh, winning both.
Yeah, I can honestly say I don't remember you winning the Junior USA. I remember seeing pictures and hearing about you winning the Pittsburgh that year. That's how I first heard about Chris DiDomenico. He's a Pittsburgh champ. So you're right. I mean, it's a big, as far as regional shows and titles go, that's definitely one of the best ones to get in this country.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're one of a few of Pittsburgh champs. None really come to mind immediately, but I know there's been some really good people that have come that had that title in their background too. What I want to ask you was, you know, Mike talked a lot about you have this Dorian Yates-like work ethic. So, you know, we don't see a whole lot of that anymore because things are sort of shifted with all these new divisions, and it's not as cool to be the hardcore bodybuilder with the dungeon and the deadlifts and the chalk and all this stuff anymore. So, you know, where did you get that style of training and that frame of mind?
Well, the thing is I started lifting whenever I was 13, and I lifted in a high school football gym. You know what I mean? And this was before the age of social media. You know, and you know, anybody that knows me, I say that social media has, to some degree, fucking ruined mankind. You know, and it's really cut a lot of guys' balls off in the same sense, because, you know, guys are more worried today about their social media accounts than they are about actually winning shows. You know what I mean? It's more cool to post a selfie in an LA Fitness bathroom than it is to post a squad video. You know what I mean? Yeah. But as far as the training mentality, it was bred through football. You know what I mean? Like I played football at Penn Trafford. Yeah. It was good football, but you didn't have a choice. You were taught and trained through football. I played 6 years of midget football. And again, that was a different time. If you were overweight playing midget,
you can't even say midget now. So
yeah, exactly. And if you were overweight playing midget football, they put a trash bag around you, and you ran around in 90-degree heat for 2 hours to make weight.
Child abuse.
You know what I mean? So it's that type of mentality, but that carried over into the gym. And it was just like, I noticed that whenever I was done like lifting with football teams and I was lifting in regular gyms, I was like, man, these guys don't even train hard. And I was never doing anything special, you know. And then, but carrying it over to today, it's just, you know, I pride myself in my training. You know, I don't think there's really anybody at my level as far as amateur wise. I mean, I've seen everybody, you know, and the thing is like nobody cares anymore about training footage. Like bodybuilding has turned into this like self-absorbed, self-obsessed, how many selfies can I post on my Instagram page? You know what I mean? That's what it is. Yeah. You know, I'm sitting at the pre-judging for nationals and I go back to my hotel and I open my feed and these guys are sitting back at their hotel posting, you know, pics. Yeah. You know, I haven't even taken a shit or like, you know, eaten something. I'm sitting here worried about water and you got guys that are, oh, you know, I was washed out at pre-judging. Hotel lighting's better. I look better at hotel lighting.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah. Give me my 300 likes so I feel better now, or 3,000, whatever it is. Yeah. You know, it's just like whenever I won Junior USAs, I didn't have an Instagram account. And at the time, I didn't know anything. And so I'm reaching out to supplement companies. Like, do I reach out to a supplement company? How do you get a sponsorship? Right. They wouldn't even listen to me. Because I didn't have any social media accounts. You know what I mean? So it was like, we don't give a shit what shows you win. If nobody's following you, then you're irrelevant. You know, and I understand that, you know, that mindset to a degree. Yeah. But it's just, it's unfortunate for the sport because that's bred, you know, that's bred these, this, I need to be an IFBB pro overnight. Like I need to, you know, build my following, all that type of stuff, you know? So, but like I said, you know, it's like the obsessiveness with the progress pics. You get these motherfuckers on social media that I'm doing nationals, and I literally see how you look every single day for the last 4 weeks. That's like playing Battleship and me fucking spinning my game board around and letting you see it. Yeah. You know, yeah, I posted progress pics I think whenever I was 8 weeks out. That was it. You know what I mean? And like, where is this is still a chess game. Do you see Phil Heath posting his picks every week? Did you see Kai or Jay or Dexter? No, you know, they'll give you like a glimpse to let you know that, you know, they're out there, but that's it, you know, but like now it's every single fucking day. This is what I look like. And it's like, bro, you've looked the same way the last 3 fucking weeks. Like, what am I even looking at?
Well, that's progress pick is kind of an ironic term because I've seen, and this is no knock on them, but I see a lot of women especially, it's the same picture, same light, same place every day.
But it's a different pair of underwear. That's what it is.
Sometimes, yeah, but if you open up and look at like all the pictures, all the little preview thumbnails on their Instagram page, it's the same picture every day.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Tell me, do you think, Chris, that a lot of these guys that do what you're talking about with the thousands of pictures leading up to the show, are these guys serious about wanting to be the best and to win the show, or do you think they want followers and they want people to just watch them and root for them and like them, and you know, are they doing it for the social media fame more so than wanting to actually win?
Well, it's just like, you know, it's like the inception of the new divisions, the physique and the classic physique. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's great, and I train a lot of guys that compete in both, but over the course of the last 10 years, there's now this mentality that I don't have the genetics, or I can't get that big, or I can't eat that food. And I just look at these guys like, are you fucking serious? Like, what can't you eat? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like I joke with my buddies when we were kids in college, you know, I used to pay $60 for a Mitsuru DVD of Jay Cutler to sit and watch him walk through fucking Costco and buy his groceries. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then just to sit and watch Jay sit at his dinner table and eat, you know, his food. Yeah. It was an obsession, like, with that idea of just like putting on size and growing. And, you know, now it's, oh, like, I can't eat that. I got to maintain my six-pack year round. I can't eat. You know what I mean? I got to be pretty for, you know, all of this stuff.
Hashtag aesthetics.
Yeah. It's just like, you know, it's like this fucking delusion of this idea that now only the classic bodybuilders are aesthetic. Yeah. You know, any guy that lifts weights wants to be aesthetic. Nobody wants to be blocky, right. You know, and you know, everybody wants an X-frame. You know, but now you get all the men's classic guys, they all think they're Frank Zane. Right. You know what I mean? It's like every single guy is like, oh, aesthetics, bodybuilding with aesthetics. Well, like, bro, we're all bodybuilders with aesthetics. Like, it's not just you. So it's a fucking circus.
I don't want to talk too much about classic, but you know, it is getting very popular, and you know, anybody coaches, you're working with classic competitors too. So I'm definitely not going to knock the division. I am a fan of it, but
well, I'm a fan of it too. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I think it's great. I think men's physique is great too, and I'm not going to bash like the whole board shorten thing and all that. You know, I think it's great. You know, I think it's good that more people are into sport. But I think what's sad is there's more guys that could be in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You know, because there's so many solid competitors that compete in the 180s and the 190s that think that they have to be so big.
Right.
But it's like conditioning wins shows. You know what I mean? Like it's like all these guys could be bodybuilders, and it's pulling from that division and sprinkling in whenever it's just like there's no reason for it.
Well, it's, you know, when you put it that way, what kind of bums me out about this classic division is that we are losing a lot of the best genetically gifted guys who would be great bodybuilders, but now they're stopping at a certain point instead of getting, you know, I'm 5'8", now I'm going to compete at 177. Okay, I've got enough size. When this guy, if he pushed it and put the work and time in and ate that food and trained that way, he could be on stage at like 220, 230, but it's an easier route. I'm not saying that they don't train hard. Of course they do, but bodybuilding is a whole step above. It's a step beyond.
Yeah, and it's the rush to get the pro card at an earlier age, because you know you can max out, fill your potential for your class at, you know, in your early 20s, instead of, you know, maybe turning pro a few years later and, you know, being a bodybuilder. So, well, you're gonna do.
So I forgot to ask you, when you were starting out, getting interested in the sport, look at the magazines. Who were the bodybuilders that inspired you, that you looked up to, that you sort of emulated from the beginning?
Well, like I said before, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, that goes without saying with anybody. Jay Cutler was one of my favorites. You know, I just love Jay. I remember sitting in college dorms. I didn't know anything. I just knew that you had to eat chicken. I remember cooking a bunch of chicken breast. And I was probably eating like 20 ounces of chicken before bed, and I would just sit there and eat it and watch Jay, like, YouTube videos. And it was just, you know, I remember watching him with his wife at the time when he turned pro, and I just thought that it was so amazing. When he turned pro. Yeah. I thought it was so amazing how you could be that big, and, like, you know, he would train with his wife, and he'd be doing 405 on incline, and she's like, you know, like it's nothing. But it was so incredible. Like, that was the dream. Yeah. You know, to have like a beautiful wife and like be like chasing your pro card or win, whatever it may be. Yeah. But outside of Jay, it was Dorian. And like I said before, with Dorian, it's just like, I mean, you know, any serious weightlifter loves Dorian. Like, how can you not love the guy that just basically shows up, crushes everybody, and then disappears? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a respect factor. Like, I remember watching Blood and Guts, and, you know, it's just that mindset of the kill 'em all, you know, and how hard he trained. And it was just like, you know, the guys he beat were unbelievable. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was just like, he always advanced, he always grew. And it's like, and I said this before, it was like going into this show, this is the biggest show that I ever did, but it was the most confident I've ever been going into a show in my life, because how I trained. And it was just like, my training was so on point, and I just knew that nobody was at that level of training. I did. And I would watch the Dorian videos and I love the video where he says that nobody can be training harder than me, and, you know, he's like, because it's just not possible. Yeah. You know, and then, you know, to be honest with you, I sit and think, like, after the prejudging at nationals, you know, how you got to hold your water and everything. It's a 2-day show. Yeah. You know, me and Mike, you know, Mike stayed on me for like 24 hours, and like, we didn't fuck off. I stayed, went right back on the diet, didn't drink water. We did everything perfect. And every, you know, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, he would look at me for, you know, a whole day. And it would by the time it came for the night show, I mean, the bodybuilding didn't go until 10 p.m. Yeah. I was ready to roll. You know, I was like, you know, I was ready to attack. Like, I was so focused. I got backstage, and you know, everybody was dead. They were ready to go home. And then that was like a shark smelling blood. You know, I was just ready. I was, you know, so that made the difference.
Yeah. For people who have never had to endure that, what's it like being dehydrated to that level where you haven't had much fluids at all for, I'm going to guess, like 48 hours by that point when you won?
Yeah, like after the prejudging, I went out for like a small little cheat meal. I did like a burger and fry and had a Coke, and then it was basically nothing after that. I had like a couple sips of water, the rest of Friday, and then Saturday it was back to nothing. I mean, that's the toughest part, you know, but it is and it isn't, you know. It's more or less, I think it's just the nerves. It's the fucking waiting around, you know, because it's like anybody that competes in bodybuilding knows that, you know, you wait. It's just like you wait for 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, you know, you get your peak week, you got your day of the show, then they get you backstage at the show, and then you got to wait 5 hours to get on stage. It's just so much waiting. And it's just like, you know, you're what can you do? You can't eat. Whenever you cut water, you can't fucking talk because, you know, then you're going to get thirsty. So it's just, you just got to wait. And, you know, so, I mean, but it's hard. It's very difficult. You just got to find ways to occupy your mind, though. So
I was talking to Mike Eli backstage, and he was telling me all about some of the crazy stuff you do in the gym. I know it doesn't really directly translate to winning a show and stuff, but I was pretty blown away. So I'd like you to repeat some of these numbers. The one that really stuck out in my mind first was your front squatting 6 plates.
No, I never front squatted 6 plates. No, I back squat 6 plates.
Mike was caught up in the moment. He might have been a little excited. Okay, still 6 plates.
I front squatted 500. I did it for like 3 sets of 4 with no wraps and no belt. I mean, it's on my Instagram. You can check it out. It's from a couple months ago. Yeah. Whenever I was about 2-3 weeks out, I front squatted 455 for like probably 4 to 6 reps. Whenever I was, it was the 2 Mondays before the show, I did 405 for 9 reps on front squats. I did, you know, every couple weeks. What I do is I always rotated my squats and my deads. I don't necessarily do them every week, but I did 500, you know, for 3 sets of 10 throughout prep. Or 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 10, you know, ass to grass, no belt, no wraps, no shoes, old school. That's what I mean about the old school. And it's just, you know, I have a training style where I got it from Jay, I got it from Santapani, from like, I'm real big on ISO movements, really warming up the joints, the muscles, and all my power lifts I do at the end of the workout. Wow. And at first, you know, it's a transition, but whenever you get used to it, it's like butter, you know, and that's how you can vary on front squats, deadlifts, squats. You can go deep like that with, you know, no issue. But I did 6 plates. I deadlifted 6 plates. I was probably 3 weeks or so out for like 3 sets of 4-ish. I was doing 405 inclines about, you know, 2 weeks out. Shoulder press, I did 315. I've done that behind the back. I did it on military. You know, I usually do 140s for sets of 8 to 10 on dumbbell military. And see, the thing is I usually do. What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say.
We're talking about training, and we talked about you do ISO movements all leading up to the big compound movements. But you know,
I'm real big on like strength training, and that comes from the football background. You know, so it's like, it's not like I'm sitting here, you know, trying to, you know, dick measure how much I can lift, but you know, to me, it's synonymous with like always breaking my personal records in the gym. Yeah, that was something I also looked up to Dallas McCarver. He was a huge. He was very motivating to me because I loved his. I mean, when he was in prep and he would just smash records. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I mean, that was motivating. That was bodybuilding to me. Like to be that big, to be that jacked, smash records. Like, you know, be 2-3 weeks out and still hitting crazy numbers. You know, training smart, but you know, I think too many guys like kind of pull back on the gas a little bit, and you kind of lose your look. So, but you know, that was always big to me. It's how I relate growth and development to, you know, what you're doing. You know, it's you know, your fundamentals of your strength training, powerlifting, you know.
So I think a lot of guys shy away from all that too because they're afraid, especially when they're in the, you know, last, say, 4 to 6 weeks of prep, they're terrified of getting injured. You know, yeah. Are you good with injuries? You have none?
Knock on wood, yes. Thank you. But like I said, I'm extensive. I do a lot of chiropractic work. I usually go once a week, and you know, it's nothing really with my back, but he He hits all my pressure points every week. I've been going to a chiropractor for about 2 years now. Every single week, he hits my chest, shoulders, hips, knees, everything. And then, like I said, any type I do, I never do any type of powerlifting move first. I never bench press, incline. I never do squats, deads, any of that. I always do. It's always middle to end of workout.
And and the numbers you're talking about too. I mean, that's you have to assume you could add like 30% to all those numbers if you were starting fresh with all of them. But you probably would have torn a pec or blown out a patella tendon by now too.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it. So.
The physique overall was excellent. That's why you're the overall champ. But I mean, the legs are what I really paid attention to, because just don't see that many great legs anymore for whatever reason. So when I see them, I give props. Your legs were top notch. Was that something that was always a strong point for you, or is that something you had to really work on?
No, it wasn't a strong point. I mean, it was whenever I started with Mike Eli 2 years ago, I remember that was one of the kind of the points that I had to bring up a little bit. I wouldn't say they were a weakness, but it was kind of like something I had to bring up. But I equate, the development in legs to the full range of motion, and also to the high reps. Yeah. Like I've done 315 on squat for 35 reps. I've done 405 for 20 reps. Ouch. That's also, I mean, those are on my Instagram. Shameless plug. But
what is your Instagram? It's C_DiDomenico?
C_DiDomenico. Yeah, that's where I put all my training footage on there. And going off of Dallas, I kind of try and model my Instagram off of Dallas's. Whenever he had his, obviously, because I thought, this is a cool person to follow, because this is a dude that looks good. He posts tons of training footage. This is bodybuilding. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is somebody I want to follow. You know what I mean? Right. He's got a cool personality. He posts tons of training footage, and it's not like you're not inundated with stupid bullshit. But yeah, as far as the legs, I would say the hardest thing to do, any weightlifter like yourself knows, is high reps on legs.
High rep squats are probably the most uncomfortable thing you'll ever do in your life.
Exactly. That'll put hair on your balls faster than anything, possible. But, that's what, all my life I did high rep squats. And then it was just like, as I got further and further in my development, we did more and more weight. And it was, anybody can put on, all that weight and squat it, bench it, or deadlift it for 1 or 2 reps. But, what can you squat or deadlift for 20 or 30 reps? That's what, I've had a few times where I thought I was going to die, admittedly, and you do it for 2-3 sets. Like you pick a weight and you do 20-30 reps, 2-3 sets, and you'll see the light to a certain degree. And I mean, it's true. Like guys know, you know what it's like.
Absolutely.
Same thing like leg press, hack squat. You do hack squat sets of 20, man. You feel it. And but. The biggest thing I can tell anybody out there is full range of motion. You have to go deep. You have to do. Now, granted, this is my personal opinion. I don't want to get 50,000 guys. Oh, well, I can't go deep for this reason. You know what I mean? I'll get attacked by the internet trolls.
I got stung by a bee on my knee when I was 11. Can't squat.
Yeah. It's just like I love the guys that every time I log on, I see another bench press. Or upper body vid, but you don't see any squat videos. Yep. And then how many guys you see squatting with no spot, or squatting in a free weight rack, or squatting ass to grass, or squatting for reps. Like that's the shit you don't see anymore, man. And then so that's something that I want to represent. I want to bring back and really bring back to the sport is the old school training with that stuff. So
I want to ask about the winning the show, because that was obviously a huge moment, the biggest moment in your bodybuilding career so far. How confident were you going into the finals that A, you had your class, and B, you could take the overall?
Well, like I said, going into the nationals was the best I've ever looked. I knew it ahead of time. It was the most confident I've ever been. And I just like the last couple of weeks building up to the show, I actually started envisioning the pro level. I was like, you know what? How strong I am, how good I feel these last couple weeks, you know, I can really start to envision myself competing at the next level.
Yeah.
You know, going into the show, I mean, of course, you're always going to have nerves. You know, you never know what to expect. But going into the show, like, you know, obviously the main goal when you do a national show is the pro card,
yeah.
You know. But I did not want to win my pro card, you know, with a second place in the class.
Yeah.
You know, not that there's anything wrong with it.
It's not first. It's not first place. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wanted to win my class. That's what I wanted. And you know, I was sitting there thinking, it's like, you got to win your pro card, but you got to win your class. I want to come home. I want to say, like, I won my class. I turned pro. And then we went out for the prejudging, and as soon as we went out for the prejudging, you know, everything building up was perfect. And you know, as soon as I went out, they put me right in the front center, and I could just tell. You know, everybody just said, like, "Bam, you got the class." Yeah. And right there, you know, it was made. I mean, it was like, shit. I mean, this is the final countdown. This is something. This is the dream right here. Yeah. And then I got off stage, and then, you know, I remember Mike said, you know, we want to get you ready for the overall. And, you know, I was like, you know, of course that feels good. But I was still so high on life just from being put in the middle. And then, you know, he said that, oh, well, Dave Lieberman said, you know, you got a shot for the overall. And, you know, there's more and more names popping up, these guys saying you got a shot for the overall. And a couple of my buddies said it, but, you know, your buddies are always going to say it.
Right.
But, and then I was like, well, shit. And then, you know, and then it's like I looked at pictures, and then, you know, I really started to, like, kind of, you know, learn more about it. And I was like, well, shit, we actually do got a shot for this overall. And I knew the light heavyweight looked good. I knew that he was, because I seen him at prejudging.
Yeah.
I knew that he was going to be shredded, or I knew that he was shredded and he looked good. You know, but then I seen pictures of myself, and it's kind of like, you know, well, you know, let's do it. And then I went into the night show. And like I said, you know, Mike, I give Mike all the credit. Like, he stayed with me, and we didn't take a break the whole day. Like, he stayed with me. Everything was measured that second day.
Yeah.
You know, the sodium when we put it back in, you know, the carbs, everything, the posing, you know, everything was just so meticulous. And I just continued to get drier and drier. And it really built my confidence up. And it really just, the fact that I didn't, like, slouch or lay around. You know, I was just so ready. And I actually, I ran into Kenny Wallach. He was there. He helped me with my posing. And he told me, he's like, you know what? He's like, go win this show. And I was like, well, fuck, everybody's telling me to win. Like, you know, you hear it more and more. And then I was like, so, you know, and he, you know, he really, I give him a lot of credit and thank you and praise. Like, he really helped me with my posing. And then, so now it was like, now my posing's even more perfect. Everything's good. And then, so then whenever I went to night show, man, I was ready to go after it, you know, so yeah. I did.
So what was that moment like when you heard your name announced and you walked right out there in center stage?
Well, it was different for the night show because, you know, with the overalls, they don't necessarily kind of put you in the middle. And they moved me.
I'm saying you guys were all on the side, then they announce you. You're the guy that gets to break away and go in the middle of the stage and get congratulated.
What I'm saying is, though, is like, so whenever I went into whenever we were getting our comparisons, it wasn't like they put me smack dab in the middle and I just knew, you know, so, and you never know. You never know in bodybuilding, you know, anybody that's ever competed. But they put us over on the side of the stage, and I was standing there, and he said, Chris DiDomenico, and I was just like, holy fuck. And, I mean, I got a little emotional, you know, going up and shaking the president's hand, of course, and it was just like, holy shit, like, this is, I remember seeing the pictures of Sergio from a couple years ago, like when he went down and hugged the trophy, so I hugged the trophy, you know, I mean, it was just, it was surreal, and I'll be honest with you, like, I still can't wrap my mind around it, because I remember a handful of years ago watching Senapani whenever he won, and it was just like, these guys are just like so larger than life, and it's just like, man, it's like, shit, like, I'm there, like, I did that, you know, so it's like, I really haven't wrapped my mind around it, you know, to be honest with you, I haven't.
It's only been 4 days, 5 days, so it'll sink in. It's going to take a while. So we talked about Mike Eli. He's a great coach, and he also, I want to throw this in there, you would drive to Ohio once a week and train with the guy. Not every coach is going to do that, especially someone who trains like you. But I want to give you the chance to thank the rest of your team, because I've seen on your Instagram or your Facebook, you know, your girlfriend and your family, they all played a big part in this too.
Well, yeah, I like to thank my girlfriend, of course. She's actually sitting here with me now. You know, she was a very big role. She competes herself. She's very successful. She's won a lot of shows, and she's motivating herself. She has 3 kids of her own, and I mean, she'd wake up every day at 4 a.m. and to do her cardio. So, you know, from a female's perspective, you know, it was very motivating. Very few people like on a local level like can, you know, motivate you, but to see that type of dedication, and it's like, you know, at times I'd be tired and I'd be like, well, fuck, she's been up for, you know, 20 hours and she's not bitching. So, you know, it's motivating, you know, but she was there with me. She went to Miami, big support. Outside of that, my friends that went down, I appreciate it. My training partners, you know, I hate to sit here and list them off because I don't want to forget anybody, but, you know, the past year, my main training partner has been my man, BJ. He's been there he was there almost every single workout. He went down to Miami. Outside of that, my man, Adam Pasternak, Adam Stefanik, whenever I trained for the Pittsburgh, I trained with Brian Mead. There's another guy at my gym, Tony Pampina. You know, he's the old guy in all my training videos. You know, he's kind of like my Mickey. You always see him in the background cheering me on. Is there anybody I'm forgetting? Family-wise, my mother and stepfather, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. They supported me ever since I was a kid. You know, every time I bring them up, I get emotional. I'm even getting emotional now, but like, my family is my main motivator. They're what I do this for, you know. I'm getting really emotional.
Okay.
Every time I talk about my family, I get emotional, but
you're not Ivan Drago.
Yeah. But I mean, I grew up on Rocky, man. I'm Italian, and Rocky was God to me. Rocky was everything. I had his posters all through my room. I wanted to be the Italian stallion. I wanted to represent my name, represent you know, the 1,000,000-to-1 underdog, and, you know, special thank you to my grandmother. She was basically my second mom growing up as a kid. All my uncles. I already thanked all my other, you know, people that helped me throughout, you know, but it's basically it. If there's anybody I forgot, my whole crew of lifting partners and friends, I thank all of you. You know, I really appreciate everyone's help and support.
Do you have a gym that's supportive that you train at?
Yeah, I train at Webb's World of Fitness. You know, it's ran by Monty Webb. He was in Mr. Pittsburgh years ago. Again, that's the gym that Seth worked out at, and you know, I used to train at another gym, and whenever Seth wanted to turn pro, I was like, well, I'm going to go to his gym. You know what I mean? And that's just the type of mindset I've always had, and I just don't see that much in people anymore. Where it was like, if you're good, I want to be around you. Like, if you're good, I want to pay you. It's just like, yeah. It makes me laugh when, like, you know, people don't they don't tap the potential or tap the knowledge base. It's like, you know, I'm always willing to help, you know, and it's just like, you know, there's I do train a lot of people, but it's like, you know, a lot of kids just like, you know, they don't want help, you know, and it's just like, man, like whenever I seen, you know, Seth was working out at Webb's, I was like, fuck, I got to be there, man. That's like the Penn Hills Mecca. You know, I want to train there. That's the Western PA. Like, there's a pro bodybuilder training in that gym. I want to be there. You know, then you went there. They had his posters on the wall. They were making his training videos. And it was just like, I wanted to be around this and, you know, and just absorb it all in. So, but, you know, I train there now today. And, you know, it's a gym full of awesome guys. There's a lot of support. There's a lot of good guys that go there. I train late at night. I've always trained late at night because, you know, it's my favorite part of the day. Like, you got to work out late. You know, you can't work out early.
Can I ask what you do for a living during the day?
Yeah, I'm a club manager at Anytime Fitness. I work at an Anytime Fitness. Okay. It's a great gym, you know, but I've always just like been drawn to the old school gym, and you know, and like my whole work and pleasure, or my work and training, like it has to be separate. And like I said, I mean, I've been going to Webb's long before I ever worked at Anytime Fitness. So, but I work in a gym. I'm a club manager. I do personal training on the side.
Okay.
Like that.
You know, because just as a side note, I mean, you can train and get results anywhere, but I find most people who are very serious about this, they will seek out those type of gyms that have the equipment they need and the environment they need, and having other people there to compete and stuff. Like, I don't think I've belonged to too many gyms that didn't have at least a few pros training there, because I'll drive, I'll make that extra effort to go there. How far is it for you to get to this Webb's place?
Well, you know, back whenever a couple years ago, I used to drive an hour to get there every day.
Oh, wow.
Because I lived in Penn Trafford. I would drive 45 minutes to get to Latrobe, and then I'd drive an hour from Latrobe to Webb's, and then I'd drive a half hour home. So it's kind of like a triangle, you know. And you know, crazy shit like that. People look at you and they're like, you know, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, you're wasting money and stuff. But like,
yeah,
you know, that's whenever you got to really say, like, that's the dream, you know. And people think you're crazy, and it's not until you win or you're successful then it's like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Right.
And that's when you got to risk it on the line. Like, you got to do crazy shit, you know. And if you win, it's like going for two in a football game. If you make it, everybody loves you. If you miss it, you're an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, it was always a hike for me. Now I live more locally. It's not as far, but it was always a hike. But it was worth it because I had those crazy workouts. Like, you can't deadlift sets of 20, 30 reps at LA Fitness. You know what I mean?
They kick you out.
People look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
Just like the chalk. You can't have chalk in most gyms. You know what I mean?
Right. All right, so you're the national champion now. I know it's just happened, but we have to ask, what are you thinking about? What's next?
You know, surprisingly, I've had a lot of people asking me that question. It's like, holy shit, man! I've barely even gone out to eat or done anything yet, and
just
it's
wash
like,
the protein off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still covered in protein. You know what I mean? I'm still like half black here, and you know.
Yeah.
But you know, to be honest with you, I want to have a long career. I want to. I'm in no rush to hop in and do a show. You know, I always have immense respect for the sport. I have immense respect for the pros. I know that they're on another level than what I'm at. I mean, yeah, I just won that show, but you know, I want to, you know, give time, you know, let my body balance out, heal up. You know, maybe next year, like later in the year, I can do a show, or maybe I would wait until 2019. But I want to have a good off season. You know, I really want to get behind my name, market my brand myself. I want to build a career. You know, I got to, you know, find ways to make money in this thing. And, you know, me doing a show in 3-4 months and getting smoked isn't going to do anything for me. You know what I mean? So it's like I'd like to take the slow and steady approach and compete for the next 20 years and not burn out in 6 months. So
what do you know? You're 232. I know it's not all about weight, obviously. So, you know, what improvements do you really feel like you need to make before you confidently step on IFBB Pro League stage with some big names?
Well, I mean, I think I just need generally overall size, for one. And like I say that, I just say that out of respect because, you know, I just need to grow in general. You know what I mean? But I think that, you know, I like I said, I put on 15 pounds from 2015 to 2016, and then I put on 10 pounds from 16 to 17.
Wow.
So if I take a good year off and I just continue to train smart and train the way I know how, and even more smarter, you know, I could see myself competing in the, you know, the low 240s.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd like to continue to bring up my, you know, I would say my upper body, you know, fill out my back some. I feel like I could, you know, still develop my back a lot more. My arms, I mean, I'm going to sit here and list everything.
Sure. No, go ahead. I mean, that's what we do.
That's what us bodybuilders do. What could be bigger? Well, everything.
Right.
My arms, I feel like I could be bigger arms, rounder shoulders, thicker chest.
You want, you know, you're chasing perfection. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, bigger waist. Or,
bigger waist, definitely. Well,
no, it's kind of funny because I've always been a shape guy, and it's like, you know, I win the show, and like my posts, my pics get posted, and you know, I'll be honest with you about something. Something I find amazing is I've never experienced such hate and such bullshit as I have since winning this show.
Really?
You know what I mean? Oh yeah, it's amazing the keyboard warriors that exist in today's day and age, where it's like, you know, guys commenting everything. I got guys looking up pictures on my Instagram from 2 years ago, commenting on my acne that I've had in certain progress pins. You know what I mean? And it's always these 160-pound dudes that have never done a show or they've never done anything that have the most to say. And usually it's actually the bodybuilders that will come to my defense,
of course,
and be like, okay, dude, shut the fuck up. You're a jabroni. So, but
well, I call them twinks, but you can call them whatever you want.
I call them jabronis because that's what they are. It's usually the guys. It's the littlest guys that got the most to say.
Yeah.
But it's just like guys commenting like, oh well, you got a garbage physique and your posing suck. Well, I got taught how to pose by Kenny Wallach after prejudging. I think that my posing was on, and I think that I was dry enough. I don't need you to comment on how dry I was if I won nationals. But thanks, buddy.
Wow.
For the feedback. So, but let them talk. That's all they can do now. So.
Right. Wow. I'm surprised. I grew up in an age where we were taught, you don't have anything nice to say, just shut up. Don't say anything.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's the bodybuilders, like all the guys I compete with, like the bodybuilders don't talk shit. It's the guys that don't. And that brings us full circle to the social media age. Everybody's got a 50-inch dick now today in today's day and age because they can sit behind a keyboard and they can say whatever they want, and nothing happens. Yeah. So that's the world we live in now. So but oh well.
Well, just a side note, I don't know if you check out forums, the MD No Bull forum. Actually, this is a pattern across all forums. I'm not going to pick on any people specifically, but when people put up pictures and they're looking for critique, or even we're just putting up contest pictures or whatever, the people who are the most vicious in their critiques and insults, they're usually guys who don't even ever post a picture. Whereas the guys who post picture, their avatar is them from a show, the guys who compete and know what this is all about, they either give praise or they give constructive criticism or they don't say anything. But they're not going to say, oh, look at that fucking belly, look at that pregnant gut, and he's got legs like pegs. It's exactly what you're saying. The bodybuilders, they don't slam the other bodybuilders.
No, because it's a respect thing. It's just like when you look at Phil Heath winning the Olympia, it wasn't, regardless if you're a fan of Phil Heath or not,
right? You
got to respect the guy.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You got to respect his physique. You know what I mean? And if you don't respect his physique, then you're just an idiot.
Right.
But, it's like Phil Heath wins the Olympia. And what did you see this year after him winning? It's all these memes and it's all these pictures of his stomach. And it's like, really, that's what you're going to do with the world's best bodybuilder. Let's not talk about how he just won this record-breaking amount of Olympias and done all this. Let's make fun of the guy for this. And so it's just the way it is. I mean, what are you going to do? The loudest boos come from the cheapest seats. So.
Did you make that up? Because I want to steal that.
No, I didn't make it up. I'm not going to act like I did. I kind of had it ready for this interview. So.
I'm gonna steal that anyway. I got to use that. Loudest boos, cheapest seats. Okay. All right, man. Well, it's been great learning all about you. I hope this is definitely not the last interview we'll do. Hope to be doing one with you as you're either about to go into your first pro show or after you've done it, or something coming up real soon. You're a cool guy to talk to. And, I like talking to people with that old school attitude, all about the hard work and suffering, putting in the pain and the suffering, because that's what it takes to reach that level. No matter what else may be involved, you have to work hard, suffer to reach that level where you're winning a national title. So, Chris, I thank you so much. This is probably going to go up after Thanksgiving, but everybody out there, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, because this is going to air afterwards. So wishing you in advance a happy one.
Thank you.
It's been great talking to this year's 2017 NPC Nationals Super Heavyweight and Overall Champion, DiDomenico. Sorry.
DiDomenico.
I screwed you out of a syllable there. So for the Ronline Report, we'll catch you next time.